Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Morning class. Onoja. Marvelous.
I'm
Marvelous.
not meeting up. That's what we read, sir.
What is all this? Marvelous. Please. Can you mute yourself? Good morning, class.
Good morning, sir.
Can you please respond? Now I have told you.
Yes, sir.
Your
Good
profile
morning, sir.
picture.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, thank you. Please
Good
listen.
morning.
Please listen. Your profile name should be your proper name. Then your profile pictures. Don't put all those funny things. This is not a social gathering. It's an academic gathering, an academic meeting. Because these things are used for a purpose. They are used for your attendance and other purposes. Now, can somebody check if I am live on YouTube?
Yes, sir. You're live on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
The audio, everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I want to find out something. Now the YouTube address, I think it's constant for my channel.
Yes, sir.
So it's constant. I don't need to repost a new link.
That is if they subscribe.
I don't understand.
Like if they subscribe to your channel, they can get notifications when you are live.
Okay, but I mean, like now,
Yes.
as my class is starting now, can anybody log on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Using previous link. I wanted to copy the link address again. I couldn't find it.
You don't share the live.
I just did what?
I said you don't share the live.
Sir,
So the live video, the live link has been sent already.
Okay, the live link. So
Yes, it's on
I thought what I
on-
sent. I thought what I sent was the Zoom link.
We also saw the live
You
YouTube
please
link.
search for your name, you will see the live.
When the class is full, the live link will just pop up when they click on watch stream live stream.
Okay, so it's
I
more or
got
less.
a notification
for the class on YouTube.
Ogunkoya,
Uh,
you were saying
Morning.
something. Hmm.
Yeah, I got a notification for the class on YouTube.
Okay, for both the Zoom and the YouTube. You go for both the links for YouTube and
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
YouTube.
sir. Yes, sir.
okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sir, someone has sent the YouTube.
Someone has what? As what? Somebody has what?
So we can't hear
Sent
you,
the
sir.
YouTube.
Okay. Good morning, class, once again.
Good
Good
morning, sir.
morning, sir.
You are welcome to today's class. Is my slide still sharing? Can you
Yes,
confirm that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
My slide, is this still sharing?
yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm moving looking. Okay, yes. I can't find it from my end. I can't see my slide from my end. Are you still seeing the slides?
yes,
Yes, sir.
What is it that I've not done right?
I'm on it.
Okay, I
You
think
know.
okay. Okay, now I'm through with you now. The last time we met, we stopped at nutrient flow, energy flow in an ecosystem. The ecosystem is a dynamic unit. The ecosystem is a dynamic system. There are activities that are going on in the ecosystem. Many activities. Some of these activities have to do with nutrient flow, energy flow. In the ecosystem, energy flows in a straight line. I have told all of you, write your name in full. In the ecosystem, energy flows in a straight line because energy is unlimited. The sun be the source of energy. But it is not so for nutrients. Nutrients are limited. As a result, they have to be recycled. And that is why we have nutrient cycle. Now, we will just talk about one or two nutrients cycle, and then later on in the future, as you study ecology, if you will learn more. And the first nutrient we look at is nitrogen. Even though nitrogen is the most abundant element in the atmosphere, it is still about the limited resource for plants. This is because the form in which nitrogen exists in the atmosphere is not usable to plants. Therefore, there has to be a way of converting atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrogen, which can be used by plants. And the form by which plants can use up nitrogen is in the form of nitrates. So the processes involved in nitrogen cycle is focused at converting atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrogen. And this can happen, nitrogen cycle involved a number of processes. Nitrogen fixation, nitrification, ammonification, assimilation, and denitrification. Nitrogen fixation involves converting atmospheric nitrogen directly to nitrate. This can happen in two ways: by direct fixation during thunderstorm, that is one, or fixation by microorganisms, that is two. Then secondly, nitrification. Nitrification is the process by which microorganisms convert nitrogen compounds to ammonia. The ammonia so formed is either released to the atmosphere or taken up by plants in the soil. And then we have what? We have ammonification, the process by which microorganisms convert dead and decaying plants, animal, living organisms to ammonium. The ammonium is thereafter taken up by plants. And then we have assimilation. Of course, plants have to take up the converted ammonium, the converted nitrates. So the process by which plants uptake the available nitrogen compounds in the soil is more or less assimilation. Then denitrification is the reverse of these processes. The process whereby some microorganisms convert soil nitrates back to nitrogen and escapes to the atmosphere. So that's the summary of what happens in nitrogen cycle. And this we talk about the last time that we met. And this is a cycle. This nitrogen cycle. It's a simplified one.
Good.
At another time, you go over it again. Now let us go on to today's class. For today, can you excuse? I'll be back in a moment. Am I back with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes,
good,
sir.
good. For today, we want to say nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle is a complex process. Now, the ocean generally acts as a stabilizer. So oceans are a major reservoir of carbon dioxide. When there is excess carbon dioxide, the ocean tries to accumulate this, retain this, and then it is released again to the atmosphere. So the ocean is a major reservoir. It's a major stabilizer of CO2, sorry, I kept saying nitrogen. I mean to say carbon dioxide. It's a major stabilizer, a major reservoir of carbon dioxide. Carbon is stored in the oceans as bicarbonate. So, like I said earlier, carbon cycle operates in the form of carbon dioxide exchange between the atmosphere, these organisms, and the oceans. So the exchange of carbon dioxide between the organisms, the atmosphere, and the oceans, those are the things that are involved in carbon cycle. Now, if I may ask, on terrestrial habitat, what are the major producers? Somebody or me can tell us.
The plant.
I didn't get the question.
In terrestrial habitat, what are the major producers?
The trees.
I've talked about this
Plants.
over and over.
Yeah, the plants.
Green plants.
No,
The green plant.
it is the green plants. Green plants.
Green plant.
I told you this over and over. The plant.
Yeah.
Now, in aquatic habitat,
Okay.
The algae.
what are the major, the algae? Very good.
Yes.
Algae.
That's good. Now, what is the major process by which producers make their food?
Through photosynthesis.
Synthesis.
Now,
Photosynthesis.
it involves in photosynthesis. The aim of photosynthesis is to capture the energy released by the sun and convert it to organic form. And what are the materials that are needed? What are the two inorganic materials that are needed for photosynthesis?
Chloroplast and sunlight.
Sunlight.
Two inorganic
So we're not getting the question.
major inorganic materials that are needed.
Carbon dioxide and water.
Carbon dioxide and
Carbon
sunlight.
dioxide and water.
Carbon
No,
dioxide
carbon
and water.
dioxide and water is needed. Just like you eat eba as a food. There are two major ingredients that you need to make eba. What are these? Water and what?
And your garden.
And garri. In the same way, plants need two inorganic materials: water and carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Now, good. Now, you agree with me that your eba, your water and your garri will not become eba automatically. You need what? You need a source of energy. And in your own case, the source of energy could be from electricity, it could be from biomass, it could be from fossil energy, electricity, it could be kerosene, it could be so, but for the plants too also need a source of energy, that is the sun. So that mimics what happens in photosynthesis. Now a major amount of CO2 is taken up by plants as raw materials for photosynthesis, through which a variety of carbohydrates and other organic products are produced. Now, what is the first product of photosynthesis? What is
Glucose.
Glucose. May say glucose. Don't forget that immediately the glucose is produced, it is converted into a stable form, isn't it? In plants, in starch, converted to starch. Don't forget again that it's not only carbohydrates that is needed by plants. Don't forget, living organisms rely on plants for their food. And the nutrients we talk about is coming from the plants eventually. So proteins also formed. So by the primary products that are used to form these products is what is the simple sugar that is formed immediately after photosynthesis. Now, to synthesize protein and other nutrients, other elements are added. Sulfur, nitrogen, and that's why we add nitrogen cycle. So let's continue now. So this is a simplified version. This is a simplified version of carbon cycle. Carbon, the essence is for plants to be able to take up atmospheric carbon dioxide. Is that okay? Let me just ask again. Now, carbon and nitrogen are needed by plants. In what form, again, is nitrogen taken up by plants?
Nitrate.
Good, nitrate. Now, in what form is carbon taken up by plants?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Good, good. Wait again. Now, what is the root? In what way do plants take up nitrogen?
Through assimilation.
Through what root? Through what organ? Through what root? Nitrogen is taken up from the soil. Good. Good. What about carbon dioxide?
The leaf.
Leaf.
From the atmosphere. It's taken up from the atmosphere. Nitrogen, in form of nitrate, is taken up from the soil through the roots. Carbon dioxide is taken up from the atmosphere through the stomata of the leaves. Now, the essence of carbon cycle is it's about movement of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. You can see this to the plants, to living organisms, back to the soil, back to the atmosphere. That is it. So carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is taken up by plants during what? During photosynthesis. During respiration, carbon dioxide is also released by plants back to the atmosphere. Plants take up herbivores or animals take up plants, eat up plants. So in that process, there is carbon fixation in the animal. The animal too will release carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere during respiration. The animal and the plant, eventually they will not live forever. They will die. When they die, they are decomposed. When they are decomposed, the nutrients that is locked up in plants, in animals, are released to the soil during the decomposition. So in this case, nitrate is also released to the soil. So also is carbon. And this may eventually become fossils. What are fossils? Fossils are remains of plants, animals that have died over a very long year ago and have been acted upon by geologic or soil processes. Eventually, this is taken up in form of energy. I mean, as a source of energy, in form of crude oil, in form of coal. So that is why we have fossil fuel combustion. Eventually, what will result during fossil fuel combustion, during fossil fuel burning? Carbon dioxide is also released back to the atmosphere. So that's a picture of what happens in carbon cycle. So again, you take time to study the carbon cycle. Very quickly, let us see water cycle. Now, the processes involved in water cycle are evaporation, sublimation. What is evaporation? Surface water become vapor and escape to the atmosphere. That is to say, it vaporizes. Transpiration also bring out water from the plant in form of vapor through the stomata to the atmosphere. So these processes we are talking about, evaporation, transpiration, they contribute a large percentage of the water in the atmosphere. Don't forget, air in the atmosphere is a mixture of gases, including nitrogen, including what do you call it, oxygen, and other gases, including water vapor. So the water vapor available in the atmosphere is evaporating from surface water. It becomes vapor and then escapes. And then plants too also release water vapor in form of transpiration. Then the next process is sublimation. Sublimation occurs when snow or ice changes directly to water vapor without becoming water. We still remember that in our chemistry.
Yes, sir.
Good. So the process where ice changes directly. Normally, we will expect that ice will, if I may use the word, ice will melt into water, water will go
to evaporate.
vapor. But in sublimation, water just transforms directly to vapor. So it's another process that is involved in water cycle. Then condensation. The water in the atmosphere is condensed, and eventually becomes a cloud and falls back. Condensation is a process. When there is enough, when the water has condensed in the atmosphere, it falls back to us. And that process is referred to as precipitation. It's simply put, it is rainfall. And then the rain that falls in form of water is absorbed by the plant in percolation, or what we term infiltration. And then when it rains and the rain is much, what do you see? You begin to see floods, runoff. In runoff, rainwater that is not absorbed. And now usually the water that is falling to the ground will be absorbed. But when the rate of absorption, I mean, when the rate of water input is overwhelming rate of absorption or percolation, what will happen? There will be runoff, there will be you know, there be runoff. And the runoff will also occur from the hills and mountains and eventually become rivers. So those are processes involved in water cycle. Number one, evaporation. Number two, sublimation. Number three, condensation. Number four, precipitation. Number five, infiltration. Number six, runoff. Evaporation, water evaporates from surface water to the atmosphere. Then the water in the atmosphere, before condensation. Another process by which water vapor gets to the atmosphere is the sublimation. Then the water in the atmosphere is condensed. And after this, the condensed water falls back in precipitation or rainfall. Now, the water that falls during rainfall, during precipitation, is absorbed, is percolated, it sinks to the ground. Again, when there is rain, the east will be runoff from mountains and the hills. Eventually, this will form rivers. So those are the processes that is involved in water cycle. I think that's simple enough. And this is a diagram depicting water cycle. You know, there is evaporation from surface water, from ocean, from rivers, you know, to the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, the water is condensed. When the water condenses, cloud is formed, and this eventually fall back in form of rain. There's also a process of transpiration, during which plants release water vapor. Now, and then there's percolation, and then the cycle continues like that. So again, during your leisure time, you practice and study water cycle. So for now, those are the cycles that we are going to, those cycles you have looked at is where we will stop in form of nitrogen, in form of nutrient cycle. So we've looked at nitrogen cycle, we've looked at carbon cycle, we have also looked at water cycle. Now let me pause a bit for you to ask your questions. If there are questions. Now let's go on because of our time. There are no questions. So now we want to see something different from what I've been talking about. Now, the other time, we defined environment. How did we define environment? How did we define environment? If I set a question, you know, what is meant by the term environment? Somebody, without going back to your notes, somebody just tell me, or me can tell me. I may decide to, whichever answers my question and I feel like doing so, I may decide to give some bonus marks.
Factors and conditions that affect a living organism.
Now, all the factors and conditions, sorry, there's a noise around. Okay, all the factors.
I think environment can be defined.
Okay, thank you, Onoja. Thank you so much. Let's continue because of our time. Now, all the factors and conditions that affect an organism in its habitat, they make up the environment. Now, what are we talking about? Now, what we are saying is that living organisms are always affected by many factors. Some of these factors are external, some are what? Some are internal. Some of these factors are, you can't see them. Understand? You can't hold them, you can't see them. And some, understand, they are physical. Now that we know that in the habitat of our organisms, there are many factors affecting that organism. So we want to see what these factors are and how to measure these factors, especially the physical factors. Don't forget, these factors or environment, we said they are true. When we are trying to define environment and to define ecology, we said there are two major components of the environment. That is to say, these factors affecting organisms can be grouped into two major types: biological factors and physical factors. Now, physical factors for now, but it's more than that. Physical factors, the non-living factors that affect living organisms, it's more than physical factors. So they are referred to as abiotic factors. Is that okay? Now, abiotic factors are of two types: adaptive factors, physical factors. Adaptive factors are factors having to do with topography, soil structure. But however, for now, it is pardonable to say that abiotic factors and physical factors are the same. Is that okay? So now we want to see. Now, abiotic factors, what are they? Parasitism, immigration. They may not be factors, they may not be easily measured. I'm talking of living factors now. That's abiotic factors, biological factors. However, physical factors can easily be measured. So they want to see some physical factors, and now they can be measured. So we have explained this. Adaptive factors are factors having to do with soil structure, topography, and so on. And then physical factors, they include temperature, light, humidity, rainfall, turbidity. So we want to see some of these physical factors and how they can be measured. And that is what we make up the next topic we are going into, or subtopic. So we want to see the importance of some physical factors and how they can be measured. Now, temperature. Temperature is the degree of coolness or hotness of a body. Now, living organisms generally operate or function maximally within a certain range of temperature. Above that range, it may be harmful or detrimental. Below that range is also harmful or detrimental. So temperature is an important factor that affects living organisms because it affects the physiology of living organisms. It affects the functioning of the organs of the living of living organisms. How can we measure temperature? There are instruments called thermometers, and there are varieties for thermometers. So thermometers is the instrument that is used to measure temperature. I think that's straightforward enough. Let us see another physical factor rather. Rainfall. Rainfall is a major process that is involved in water cycle. And that was what we termed precipitation. Now, rainfall makes water available to plants, to animals. And water is basically essential to life. That's okay. So, how is rainfall measured? Is a liter easy? What is it? Can you mute yourself? Is a liter? You can imagine this person in my class doing this. I will note that person. I will note that person. I will meet you. Don't worry. Good enough. Good. Is a liter? Is a liter? So rainfall is measured by the use of rain gauge. And then we have light. Light is a factor. Is a liter? I'm going to have I'm taking your name. I will meet you. Is a liter. When you resume for physical class, you report to me. I told you, if I don't ask you to unmute, you don't unmute. And if I ask you to unmute, after answering the questions, you mute yourself again. Don't disturb our class. So, light is important. It's an important factor. Among other purposes, light is needed for what? For photosynthesis. So there are two things that are measured in light. Number one, light intensity. Number two, the amount of light. Light intensity is measured by the use of a photometer. The amount of light is measured by the use of light meter. So two things to put in mind. Two things that are measured and light as a factor. Number one, light intensity. Number two, amount of light. Light intensity is measured by the use of photometer. The amount of light is measured by the use of light meter. Then we have relative humidity. Humidity is the concentration of water vapor in the atmosphere. Agbo. Can you now? Agbo. Relative humidity. Sorry. You can say now. Please don't disturb the class. by just omitting and then causing a noise. Humidity is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. Relative humidity is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere that is expressed as a percentage of moisture that can be retained by the atmosphere. Now, important thing to put in mind. How do you measure relative humidity? This can be measured using a hygrometer. And the two instruments that are displayed in this slide are two forms of hygrometer. Let us put that in mind. Don't forget, we started from where? We started from what do they call it now? We started from what was the first factor we talked about?
Temperature.
Temperature measured by the use of the thermometer.
Use of thermometer.
Good.
Thermometer.
Then we talk about light. Don't forget, two things are measured. Right. We measure light intensity. We also measure the amount of light. How is light intensity measured?
With a photometer.
Photometer.
How is amount of light measured?
Photometer.
Light meter.
Meter.
Light meter.
Light meter.
Good. And then Onoja.
I've already on mute, sir.
I'm just taking down your name. You report to me during physical class. Then, relative humidity is measured by the use of hygrometer. Now let's go on. Then wind. In our elementary science, they define wind as what? As air in motion. Am I still right? Can I still remember? Now, wind affects the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Another factor. You understand? It's a major driver of how the organisms are distributed in their habitats. Now, again, two things to measure in wind. Direction of wind and speed of wind. Now, direction of wind is measured by a wind vane. Speed of wind is measured by an anemometer. Is that okay? Now, how many physical factors do we have two things to measure that I've mentioned? Somebody on it can tell me. Two. What's the first one?
Light.
Light. In light, two things to measure. Number one,
The light
intensity and amount of light. How do you measure light intensity?
Photometer.
Photometer. What about amount of light? Light meter.
Light meter.
Similarly, wind as a physical factors, there are two things to measure. Number one is what? Direction of wind.
Direction.
That is measured by a wind vane. And then the speed of wind is measured by an anemometer. Now again, there are two forms of anemometer that are displayed. Wind vanes, you find them in geographical, the so-called geographical field or something that you consult in your secondary school. Okay, let's go on to another factor. I think for now, now let us see pressure. Pressure is a factor that affects organisms. So, climatic and osmotic pressure pressure generally, they influence living organisms. Is that okay? And they also influence their distribution. Organisms that fly high, that can operate at high altitude. They're affected by what? Pressure so much. And then, as you go higher, does pressure increases or decreases?
Increases.
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 Now, how is pressure measured? How is atmospheric pressure measured? It is measured by the use of aneroid barometer. Is that okay? So what instrument is used to measure atmospheric pressure?
An aneroid barometer.
Aneroid barometer. What instrument is used to measure amount of rainfall?
Rain gauge.
Now, what instrument is used to measure what factors are we talking about again? So don't forget the instruments that are used to measure each of these factors: the wind, relative humidity, and so on and so forth. So let us see another factor: turbidity. Now, when we say turbidity, it has to do with aquatic environment. It has to do with water bodies. So turbidity is the amount of suspended particles in a water body. That's turbidity. Turbidity has to do with clarity of water. That is how clear the water body is. When the amount of particles floating in a water body is much, then we say the water is what? Is turbid. The more the concentration of particles in the water, the more turbid the water is. Now, let me ask you now, what is the relationship between turbidity and water clarity? That is how clear the water is. What is the, how are they related?
If the water is turbid, it is not going to be clear.
If the water is not clear, it will affect light penetration. And when there is no...
Exactly, when there's no light penetration,
so when there is no light penetration,
that, aquatic, what do you call it now? Aquatic producers not be able to carry out photosynthesis, so there'll be low production in such a water body. Now, very good. Now, the question is this: turbidity and water clarity, what is their relationship? Are they directly related or inversely related or proportional rather? Are they directly proportional
is the measure of water
or inversely
clarity.
proportional?
Inversely.
They are inversely related.
Inversely related.
Inversely related.
Inverse. So the relationship is inverse. The higher the turbidity, the less the what? The clarity. Am I right? Okay.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go on now. Let's go on now. Now, how do we measure turbidity? Turbidity is measured by the use of a circuit disk. Understand? Circuit disk is a disk. You know a disk. A disk is a band.
My pet. Sorry.
Usually maybe an object that can sync. You understand? And then it is printed black and white. And then you begin to drop. You can see this. You can this man holding. You can this rope. This rope is tied to a disk, and then he drops it. And then begin to measure the depth at which this thing is visible.
It's my son.
Water with less turbidity, as this is dropping more lower and lower in the water, it is invisible. But water body that is highly turbid. But that this one goes into the water, after a few years, it's not visible again. So in summary, turbidity is measured by what? By the use of a circuit disk. Is that okay? So
Yes, sir.
Let me see how far we can go again today. How many minutes do we have more? Are you free after this class?
No, sir. Not chemistry.
We have class by 9.
By 9. Okay, let me allow you to ask for questions now. Questions? If you have a question to ask, or mix and talk.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
What about the optic turbidity meter? Is still the same thing as circuit disk, the same work that it does?
This class. I'll be complaining about this. About say maybe classes.
Correct. No, the first person who talked, they were talking about circuit disk also. Can you ask a question again?
Okay, so I was asking about the optic turbidity meter that is under the circuit disk.
Yes. You know this one is electronic. We are likely going to come across this. This is likely yes, it also measures turbidity. And that is why this is measured. It is more complicated than this. Yes, you are correct. And somebody was talking the other time. Okay. Yes, if you have a question, or meet and talk. I mean, we still have like 1 minute to do that.
So under the carbon cycle, you said the ocean is the major reservoir of carbon dioxide.
It's a major reservoir.
Yes.
Mind you, there's a difference between the major reservoir and the major reservoir. The definite article. Now, is there any difference between when we say the ocean is the major reservoir of so and so, and when we say the ocean is a major reservoir? Is there any difference between the two statements?
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between the two?
When you say it is a major reservoir, that means it is not the only one. Then
good. Good. Now continue with your question.
So I want to ask how the carbon dioxide in the ocean is made use of.
There are many processes. That's okay.
Okay, sir.
Many processes that are involved. That's fine. Many processes, including the one taken up by aquatic organisms.
Okay.
Including the one that is stored in form of carbonate. That's okay.
Good morning, sir.
When the concentration of carbon dioxide is so much, or carbon is so much, the ocean is a major stabilizer.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sir, good morning, sir.
No, one by one. No. Yes, talk. Somebody is saying good morning.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, please, I want to ask, what do you say the instrument for measuring atmospheric pressure is, sir?
Where I said is. Sorry, what do you say your question is?
I said you said, what was the instrument you said that is used for measuring atmospheric pressure? What do you call it, sir?
I expect you to know what I said to answer that question. And if not, what do? You go back to my YouTube channel and listen again. Is that okay? And that is fine.
Okay.
I've told you, if you're in this class, I will just sit down by your system, as if you are listening to as if you are in a reception party, just listening. If you are still doing that one, it's too bad though. Is that okay? If you are listening, if you are in a class online, you don't have your writing material with you, then you are not ready to come into the university. Is that okay? The person who asked that question, honestly speaking, if you are going to ask any question, it should be that question, because you could even see me going back to those factors again and repeating it over and over. Is it a lie, class?
Sir, it was my network was bad. That's why I didn't get that part.
So what is this? What is this instrument now? An error barometer used to measure what? Pressure.
Thank you, sir.
What instrument is this? Talk now. Okay, let me see. This one. This. Can you see my mouse? Can you
Yes,
see
sir. Yes, sir.
my pointer? That
Yes,
is,
sir.
what instrument is this? Anemometer.
Anemometer.
This measures what?
The speed of the wind.
And then what if you go to geographical field in your secondary school, you must have seen this over and over. That's a good game.
Yes, sir.
Then how do you measure light intensity? I've said that over and over. So if you are in doubt, you go back to the channel and listen again over and over. When are we meeting next? We will meet on Monday, as usual, by 8 a.m. Thank you so much.
Sir,
Can we end this class now?
sir, can we get it right?
Yeah. You have your recordings that you can refer to at any time. Don't ask such a question again. And my notice, let me take it. Is that okay? I don't give you extra this thing. I make it as simple as possible. It's not as if I withheld some materials I begin to send to you. When we get to that one, I will send material to you. Is that okay? No. So, can we end this class for today?
Yes, I thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.